Right. Good evening. Mr. MEUSE, if you want to come down. Okay, please raise your right hand. Do you, Brian MEUSE, solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic?
I do.
That you will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California?
I do.
That you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion?
I do.
And that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which you're about to enter?
Yep.
Congratulations.
And Brian, at the end of the meeting, there's a section there for like commissioner reports. So if you don't mind, we'll let you introduce yourself at the end of the meeting. Is that okay? Okay, cool. All right. Let's go and call the meeting to order. This is the meeting for Thursday night, December 9th, 2021 of the Desert Hot Springs Public Safety Commission. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Lozano. Here. Commissioner Eastman.
Here.
Commissioner MEUSE.
Here.
Vice Chair Mitchell.
Here.
Chair Meyer.
Here. Okay. Brian, did they show you the button?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to get him all broke in. He's going to be totally good to go. Thank you, Russ. He's going to be totally good to go before we get done tonight. So let's go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance. Donna, would you lead us in that, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. All right. We need to get an approval of the agenda. Make a motion? Okay. Did you already hit the button? Hit the button that says move up there at the top. And then, Ken, you got the second? Are you watching that on the screen, Brian?
Yeah.
Approval of the agenda is we look at the agenda, and if everyone's good with the way it is, we go with it. So, all right, go ahead and vote. Okay, cool. It passes 5-0. Look at the minutes for the meeting, last meeting, the meeting from November 15th. So I didn't see any issues with mine. Anybody see any issues with it? If not, can we get a motion to approve the minutes? Okay. Second? Okay, please vote. Okay, good. So Brian's only been up on the thing for 5 minutes and he's already mastered something that took us months to figure out. So we're in good shape already. Okay. Do we have any public comments? Public comments tonight? No?
Mr. Chair, we do have someone that registered to speak under Zoom. However, we do not see this person online. I'm not sure if there's anyone in the audience that would like to provide public comment.
Okay. If they pop up, can you let me know? Okay. And we'll go ahead and read this just in case that person pops up. So at this time, pursuant to the Brown Act, any person may comment on matters of general interest within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Public Safety Commission not listed on the agenda. Under the Brown Act, the Public Safety Commission should not take action on or discuss matters raised during public comment portion of the agenda that are not listed on the agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Speakers may not yield their time to others without consent of the chair. All comments are to be directed to the Public Safety Commission and shall be devoid of any personal attacks. Members of the public are expected to maintain a professional, courteous decorum during public comments. Please complete and submit a speaker card to the city clerk. You will be asked to state your name and city of residence for the record. And still nothing there, Carmazzi? No? Okay, cool. All right, let's go on to administrative reports. We don't have any real new action items tonight, but hopefully by the end of the night, we're going to have something to put on the agenda for next month is what we're hoping. So, all right, we'll go ahead and do animal control report.
Good evening, Commissioners. For the month of October, we had a total of 194 calls for service. Out of that, 81 of them were loose dogs. 11 were barking dog complaints. We did 22 follow-ups, which essentially consists of us, doing home quarantine checks, just following up on calls. We had 65 resident checks, 10 welfare checks. We seized 3 dogs. That seizure was because of we received a call of dogs that were attacking and killing another dog in the backyard. So we took those 3 dogs, which if you look down also attributes for some of the 3 dogs that were taken to the county. We didn't take any dogs to the county for the month of October because of lack of space or anything like that. The 3 dogs that went to the county were the 3 dogs that we seized. We couldn't house them in our facility because they were obviously dangerous. They had killed one of their own puppies. So, we did a total of 51 citations. 33 of those citations were warnings, mostly for licensing. And then we wrote 18 administrative citations, which were also mostly for licensing. We did 4 reports because we had 4 dog bite calls for the month of October. And we did 13 licenses. We had 85 intakes. Again, we seized 3 dogs. We took in 2 owner surrenders. We managed to foster out 7 of those 85 intakes. We sent 24 of them to rescue, and we returned 20 of them to their owner. And we took 16 dogs to the vet. The euthanized, if you see that number 5, those dogs were euthanized because of severe injuries. We took them to the VCA Indio, and the vet recommended euthanasia on that. And we had 29 deceased animals that we collected either from people's residences or off of the street. And that's it. We did not have the SNP bus come for the month of October, so I don't have any any numbers to report for that. But they will be in our parking lot this upcoming Wednesday.
Okay, that's good. All right, any questions for Mr. Talley?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Don.
In November, I guess, right, you had 15 dogs or animals dead on arrival. Is that common? That's a lot. I mean, the month before was 14, but.
Well, we actually had a total of 29.
Right.
That's kind of average. That's
Is it?
That's not unusual.
Is it mostly accidents or just old or injuries?
It's mostly being hit by automobiles, loose dogs that are getting hit by cars.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ken?
Just briefly, you mentioned, when you mentioned the euthanized animals, you mentioned VCA Indio was where they were taken. Is that a facility that we contract with to perform that duty?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we're contracted with them. They're the emergency hospital for the entire valley. So if we get called out at night to go, which is common, we get called out at night to pick up an injured dog that's been hit by a vehicle, then we have to take it to that animal hospital. It's the only hospital that's open in the whole valley.
Is that right? I do know that there was another VCA facility here in Palm Springs, but it doesn't, although it's closer, it's not the 24-hour.
That is correct, sir.
Okay, and, okay, I think that's the only question I have this time. Thanks.
Yeah, and Dr. Tuesdale there, he's the best.
Yes.
Yeah, he fixed my dog's broken leg and can't even tell she had one. So, Lee, do you have anything? No? Brian? No, sir. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, let's move on to the next item. Code compliance monthly report, please.
Good evening. In the month of November, code compliance responded to a total of 83 service requests. We conducted 298 inspections, issued 76 courtesy notices of violation, 19 citations totaling $13,100. Wanted to highlight very briefly that the city has successfully completed its first receivership. So when we talk about receivership, a receiver is a neutral third party. It's an agent of the court who is required to act for the benefit of all parties in the case. I went over that just briefly when I did the presentation last time on abatement actions and enforcement efforts. So this is the first time the city has been appointed a receiver, and it has completely rehabbed a property. So this property is on Buena Vista. We've been working it since 2016. And I provided some photos there because the before and afters are just astonishing. So they did a really good job. The receiver will pass that off to a buyer. The buyer is the one who will rehab it, and he is now selling it to a single mother who's moving here from Compton to get away from some violence. So good turnout all around. That concludes my report.
Okay, questions for code?
I do.
Please go ahead, Donna.
On your pictured items, you have Avenida Dorado, the before and after. What was it before? I mean, it looks the same to me.
If you look directly in front of the garage, all
Yeah.
of that is outside storage.
Oh, it's been there. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Just wondered. Thank you. I'm good.
Okay. Brian, anything? Okay. Lee? Ken? No? You know, I do, there's a house down on Julian. It's third house north of Ironwood on the west side. And we have friends who live right next door to it. And every time I go over there, it's not good. I mean, it's like really bad, and they helped the old gentleman who lives there in a wheelchair, and they went in there and all the drywall's all torn out, and people are climbing in through the windows, and it's becoming like a fire hazard. And I mean, they're literally going to move out of town. We're going to lose some good people partially because of that. Is there something we can do about, I mean, even I look at the house and go, this is not good. I mean, there's no windows in it.
Yeah,
You
so
know.
Unfortunately, the individual that you're referring to, the one that we helped recently, he's since passed away. And there's been some transient activity. They've taken
Yeah.
over the majority of the home. Somebody just reached out today, actually. We don't know who this individual is. We'll have to follow up on that. But they conducted some sort of abatement. I just don't know with what respect they have any tied to the property. I know that he has very minimal family, the deceased, so
Yeah.
I don't understand where this individual came from. I'm a little bit concerned. Usually when we have cases like this,
Yeah.
we'll get contacted by squatters and they'll say, oh, I cleaned it up, and they'll have absolutely no tie to the property. So we're going to follow up on that. We are working the case. We know,
Okay.
we know it's really bad.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And that's really sad to hear, because even though the guy had problems, he wasn't a bad person. It was just tough. So okay, thank you. All right, let's move on to the next one. That'd be the police department report. Chief?
Good evening, everybody. So for the month of November, we responded to 3,229 radio calls. Officers wrote 246 reports, made 71 arrests, and wrote 113 citations. Several special details were conducted throughout the month by our traffic officer, specifically along Palm Drive, again combating the speed complaints along that area, so still hitting that area hard. For the crime stats, pretty consistent as we start wrapping up the year. Some of the big ones, we did not have any homicides in November. Unfortunately, last night we did have a shooting over on Ironwood that did result in a homicide, so investigators are currently working that investigation. We had 2 robberies, 36 aggravated assaults, which is a little bit higher than what we've seen in previous months. 11 simple assaults. The burglaries at 17, which is pretty consistent to what we've been seeing throughout the year. And motor vehicle thefts for 22, so they've been going up and down, but throughout the year, pretty consistent between 15 into the low 20s on that. Kind of looking in next month or in January, we'll give you an overall picture of the entire year, but just to kind of give you as we start wrapping up the year compared to 2020. In 2020, we had 5 homicides. So this year, we've had 4 now. The one from last night's obviously not on your paperwork. Rape cases, 6, so those are down from 13 in 2020. Robberies, 26 so far for this year, 37 in 2020, so a little bit down on that. Assaults are pretty close at 159, and we had 171 in 2020. And burglaries are down pretty significantly, 139 compared to 228 in 2020. And then motor vehicle thefts, right now we're even with where we were at in 2020 at 186 for those. Some other stuff going on at the station. They did last night at City Council. The award was presented for the contractor for the dispatch center, so we're moving forward with that. A lot of behind-the-scenes work that's been going on with that, but the schedule is still pretty tight and moving forward. We're looking at a mid-January start date for construction and about a 4-month job on that. So our goal is September 1st is when our contract ends with Cathedral City. So our goal has always been to be up and running a couple months before that so we can work out the bugs and whatnot before we're totally disconnected from Cathedral City. So we're moving forward with that. We're excited that the contractor's in place. The first week of January, they do some work, and then the second week of January is when they actually start breaking ground there. So that's the start of the construction will begin there, and then there's a lot of stuff that's going to roll after that, but we're excited to have that happening. Obviously, we had Thanksgiving a couple weeks ago. The police department and the Police Officers Association put together food for the needy on that day. We had it at Tedesco Park, where we had gone out prior to our homeless team had gone out and identified individuals, homeless individuals and those in need, and offered for them to come to Tedesco Park for a hot meal. And Coachella Valley Rescue Center also came out. They brought a really nice portable shower unit. It was actually quite very nice, along with toiletries and some shoes that were donated and other clothing articles for folks to use. A little slow getting started, getting folks there. Some folks did come there. And so we ended up just going out in town and finding those folks. Obviously, they're a little bit hesitant to leave their encampments and making sure that this was a real deal, and that's what this was a free hot meal and stuff like that. So we ended up bringing a lot of meals to folks. I think we ended up serving about 70 meals to the community during that day. So successful event. It was our first one that we did, so learned a few things that we can do a little bit better, but we look forward to doing it again next year. Budget-wise, we're looking right where we should be. For the police department, we're at 43% of the budget as we wrap up the second quarter. Code compliance is at 38%, and animal control is at 34%. So again, as we wrap up the second quarter, we're right where we want to be. The PD budget, I'd like to get that a little bit lower, even though we're below that 50% mark as we hit this 50% of the fiscal year. There's always something that pops up, and we did have a couple things pop up that we've talked about before, but we're looking good. Folks are doing good and being responsible, fiscally responsible. So we'll continue to do that as we go on, and I'm available for any questions.
Okay, questions for the chief? Hit your button, Donna.
I know. I have
Okay.
a complaint.
I will take those two.
My husband and I were driving home from somewhere, and we took 62 to Pearson. And then it was last week sometime, I believe, and there was something going on, and there were the police waving us to go actually by Worsley. Worsley Road, I know goes through, but there's no lights, no anything. And my complaint is, I don't want you to give us coffee and Cokes or anything, but this officer was so like that, just shooing people on, and if they don't know where they're at, I mean, I happen to know where I'm at, but I think it was really rude. It could have been done nicer, just like, take this road, or, because there was only like one or two people, one person behind me. It isn't like he was dealing with a crowd of people. And I just don't appreciate that. I just think it could have been handled nicer. But, because I always think about the other person. I think about the person that doesn't know where they're at. It was pitch dark. You couldn't even see what the commotion was, whatever happened up there. And I saw the people behind us, they didn't know where they were. They didn't even know what to do. And yes, turn around and go back, but that's not your first thought when he's really rushing you, like, there was a million people there, and I just don't appreciate that. I mean, we have enough of a reputation. I think we could be known as a little bit nice Desert Hot Springs Police Department, I don't know. That's just my complaint.
No, I appreciate it, and yeah, we expect them to be professional. They should, and they need to take the time, and that's something we talk about a lot, is taking that time to explain things, especially when it comes to traffic direction. People are focused. People know usually one way how to get someplace, and when you throw them off on that, that causes a lot of anxiety. And then the officers, obviously, they're trying to get something done. But I will look into that, and yeah, we expect more. The officers know we expect them to be professional, take that time. Obviously, they can't have a big old conversation there, but it's very easy to do a quick explanation, let you know exactly where to go, especially out there because it is very dark and can
Right.
be confusing.
I mean, how many people know Worsley was the old way before 62 came?
Right.
I do, but you can tell the people behind us, and I used to know all you police officers, from day one, and I would have got out and said, what are you doing? Why are you saying it? Why don't you tell us where to go? And I think you're absolutely right, to be more professional and explain something, or have a doggone card, please turn around, it's closed. But he was just zooming people away, and I thought, it's just us, That's all.
Thanks, I appreciate it, and I will
But
look
thank
into
you,
it.
I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
Okay. Lee?
Believe it or not, I don't have any questions.
Okay. Ken?
I was just curious as to scrolling through the report. Oh, and congratulations on your successful Thanksgiving endeavor. If you choose to put it on a website, I'd appreciate it because there are those of us that might be interested in donating some supplies and helping you out the next
Fantastic.
time around. So, good job with that. Let's see. These are help, you see. There was scrolling through the report. I was curious about your 5150 statistics. First, I guess it's two parts. First is the protocol here in Riverside County, what it is when someone's placed under a 5150 hold, to transport them to wherever they need to go, whether they're medically cleared first and then, taken on to subsequent treatment facilities. And is a 5170 ever practiced here in Riverside County?
So not by us, so we strictly go with the health and safety, the 5150. And the protocol is, up until recently, AMR did a lot, the bulk of our transport for our 5150s for us. They've run into staffing issues and problems also, so recently, they're still able to, but now there can be some extremely long wait times, up to an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. So our officers have been doing a lot of the transports themselves, so that they're not waiting. But again, the 5150 is someone that is a danger to themselves or to others. So if they meet those requirements, then we will get them to the hospital so they can see a doctor. It's not an arrest, but we get them so they can get some help seeing a doctor. And it's a 72-hour hold. Once we obviously drop them off at the hospital, the doctors, they can change that to a longer hold or even a shorter hold.
I have one more.
Yeah, go ahead, Don.
Far be it from me not to put in my plug, but when I commend you on the Thanksgiving dinners, I think that's wonderful. And it was held at the community center, which is named after my son.
It was.
And they're doing COVID there still, testing and whatever. they just take that all out, or did they just move everything
Yeah.
aside? Or
We
what did they-
coordinated with them a couple of days before and moved everything away and put it into storage, into closets there and stuff,
Okay.
so that the room was just opened up for us, and we had set out tables so folks can come. And it was set up so they can either take the meals with them, or they can actually eat there on the property, whatever they were more comfortable doing.
There's a nice little kitchen there, and
Yeah, well, we
And all
utilized
that.
that, so
Yeah,
we
good.
use the oven to heat some stuff up and everything like that.
Oh,
So,
good.
yeah, we made good use of it.
thank you.
Okay. Brian?
Yeah, I got a question for you, Chief. Being the holidays, would you say that, I've noticed in reading the report that things are definitely up, especially vehicle theft, and is that in any particular area? And then my second question is also, where would, I know I've heard city council people talk and other people talk about, like package theft, where would that fall under this? Because are we seeing a lot more of that as well?
Yeah, so the motor vehicle theft, it's all over. There's not one particular area in Desert Hot Springs where we're having more problems with it than others. It's all over. And yeah, that's been one of those things over the last year and a half, that we've seen go up, not only locally, but nationally, unfortunately. So the package thefts, yeah, unfortunately, we haven't had a lot of them, at least a lot reported to the police department. I follow the social media, and I see stuff posted on social media. Sometimes we get a call, sometimes we don't. It would normally fall under the larceny cases, and depending on the circumstances, it can be under the burglary, but mostly it's a larceny type thing if it's on the front porch. But yeah, again, we haven't seen a huge problem with that within Desert Hot Springs, unless it's just not being reported for us. So we encourage folks, obviously, to report it if they do have it, if it does happen to them. But yeah, not a huge problem that we've seen so far.
And one more question. Would you think it would help, as you know, community policing, getting more, is there anything that the citizens of Desert Hot Springs could do to try to, besides calling it in, any recommendations, getting involved in any way?
Yeah, the big part is when you're ordering stuff, you're able to track the stuff to when it's going to come to your house, and be aware of when it's going to be there. Either have that relationship with your neighbors. That's when having that relationship with your neighbors comes in handy, because if you're at work or your neighbor's home, have that relationship for them so that they can pick up that package so it's not sitting on your doorstep. If you're ordering something and you're going to be gone, or overnight, and you're going to be gone, it's going to be sitting on your doorstep, then you're putting yourself out there and you're asking yourself for someone to come and steal that. So I think part of it is just that community awareness, that awareness with your neighbors when you're doing stuff. And I know, like Amazon, a lot of these places give you other options for where things can be delivered. I think they can go to box stores, or there's areas at the grocery store or something where they can drop off Amazon. So utilize that if you need to order something, but you're not going to be there to pick it up when it comes there. And then again, call us when you do have that, so we can identify if there's a particular area in town where we're seeing a rash of that going on, so that we can focus our efforts out in that area to try and identify suspects that are doing that.
Perfect, thank you. That's all I have.
Okay. And then 2 questions. The number one reason cars get stolen? Because I know that I get in my car and I can barely start it with everything they give you to start it. So how are these people stealing cars?
Yeah, it's leaving the keys in the cars, and now there's a lot of key fobs and stuff, but leaving cars running and stuff like that is one of the
Okay.
big things that folks are doing. And then a lot of the cars, or some of the older ones, would still take a regular real key that you put in,
Yeah.
and it's a screwdriver in the ignition, a screwdriver in the lock to pop the lock, and off they go. But the big thing is lock your cars, hide your valuables, don't leave it running, things that we've talked about before, but those are the main things. That it's a crime of opportunity for a lot of these things, where folks are just coming and they see a car available and they jump in it, and it's just for a quick ride, and then they dump it off. But the repercussions of that are, pretty stressful and significant for folks.
The second question is, we're under budget. Many people are happy when city departments are under budget, and I'm not going to say that I'm not unhappy, but at the same time, obviously we have funds, so that you could be using for different stuff. Is there a reason why we're under budget?
Yeah, so it's not that we're not using the funds. We do have some stuff coming up that we've been holding back some
Okay.
that we know that are coming up in the next quarter that are going to be utilized. So we're just preparing. We've got a couple big things coming up that we know they're going to be being used, so we're just kind of preparing for that.
Okay, that makes complete sense. Thank you, Chief. Okay, anything else for the chief? No? And I'm glad you gave out hot turkey, because when I was a cop, we used to give out cold turkeys, and I could never figure out why we would do that, because
Everything was hot. The sides
Yeah.
were hot, and the pie was cold.
it's good to see that we've progressed. So, okay, let's get to our last report of the night, the fire department report. Chief?
Well, good evening, Commissioners. First off, let me say that I went back with your questions to the IT department for this report that we're going to review, and I just want to answer some of the questions that were brought up last meeting. So in the top left-hand corner, it says incident response activity. Those 451 calls are all of the calls that happen inside of Desert Hot Springs city limits. So that's the number of incidents that were responded to inside the city. The number in the mutual aid section in the bottom right-hand corner, the jurisdictional unit responses, that's all of the responses from both engines. So 37 and 36. So even though there's 451 incidents, both engines could have ran to several of those. So it's just showing you how busy the engines are together. The mutual aid given is how many times either one of those engines went outside Desert Hot Springs to provide mutual aid to another agency. And then the mutual aid received is specifically broken down into each type of piece of equipment that came into the city to provide mutual aid. So hopefully that clears that up a little bit. So as you see, there's 451 calls for service in November. Of those, 363 were medical aids. As far as significant incident reports, there was a couple of residential structure fires. There was a gas leak that forced 12 residences to shelter in place. And then there was a large wind-driven vegetation fire from a mulch pile. And those were the significant incidents for the month of November. That's pretty much the end of my report. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, questions for the chief? Ken?
Just a couple, I would think, looking at this response sheet. So we have a total of 451 calls within Desert Hot Springs, and we've had 368 responses from the two units within our jurisdiction, 37 and 36. So that would be a difference of 83 calls. Under mutual aid given, it says we received 93 mutual aid. Is that were there 10 missing calls? Is that a typo?
So out of those 451 calls, some of those are going to be multi-unit responses. So, you know, if it's a structure fire, you could receive 5 mutual aid engines. So that those individual units, that's how many of the units responded mutual aid.
Okay. Okay. And it says under the truck report, there's M as in Mary, R as in Robert, F as in Frank, truck 1, two responses. That designates which unit now?
Morongo truck 1.
Morongo. Okay. And is that located at the reservation off of the I-10 there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, interesting.
And more than likely, if Morongo Truck 1 was responding, it's probably because they were the closest where Truck 33 was committed to another incident, is more than likely what happened.
Now, is it Morongo, is that within Riverside County, or is that their own fire apparatus?
That's their own, but they're part of our system. We have automatic aid and mutual aid agreements with all of the departments.
Do we have automatic aid or mutual aid agreements with Palm Springs and Cathedral City?
We do have with both.
We do?
Mutual aid.
Mutual aid. Okay, so it has to be formally requested before they can respond to rig out.
It does.
It's not an automatic aid.
We do have some automatic aid depending on the situation, but they do have to provide permission.
Okay. All right, at this time, that's all I've got. Thank you.
Okay, Lee?
No questions.
No? Brian?
Hello.
Please.
I just want to comment on the report. I like the way that it is, and I like the significant incidents as well listed like that. Everything is pretty clear. Of course, one little thing.
Okay.
Mutual is M-U-T-U-A-L.
Those dang IT folks.
Sorry.
Duly noted. I will have that fixed next week.
I don't know what that says about the rest of us. We didn't pick it up either, so can't beat them up too bad. So for me, real quick, Morongo Fire, that's pretty cool that they've got a recognized, they've always had fire apparatus up there on the reservation, and the tribe has always been very good at providing services to the people there and sharing them offside. So, but I remember in the past, they had some real questionable things about training and certification, so they've met all that, huh?
Not only have they met, but they are exceeding some training requirements. And just for general knowledge, one of our former division chiefs that was in charge of Moreno Valley for several years retired from us and is working part-time or full-time for them. And he is very, very, very accomplished. And so they've been great partners, and they do a great job.
That's awesome. It's terrific to see that happen up there. So a lot of really good people there. So, okay, real happy with that. I know last month we kind of talked about a potential for adding services. And so I know that you two were supposed to be meeting up with the chief, and some things were happening. And then I heard I got a phone call, and then one thing happened to another thing today. So, you know what, I want to turn it over to you, Ken, and maybe you can kind of explain where things are at, you and the chief can. And then see where we want to go from there, if that's all right.
Well, not a problem. We did have a brief meeting, and to discuss what happened at the last meeting and what we would like to accomplish going forward. And again, what we had is there were transfer personnel on his end, on the chief's end. There was, my Johnny-come-lately to the entire enterprise, and there was also the switching of staff at the city staff. We had an outgoing city manager, we had an incoming city manager, and I think with all that, there were some communications errors, things that went amiss. But I think after tonight's meeting, we had a discussion where we want to go forward, and because it's not agendized, of course, I'm limited in exactly how in depth I can go. But I think with the upcoming meetings, we now have a clear direction of what we want to do as far as increasing the service here in Desert Hot Springs. I know that I had a plan that I had in my mind for a presentation that I was going to make before we encountered what the city manager had done. And the city manager was very accomplished and was actually ahead of where Donna and I were when we were doing our meeting. So we kind of let it rest in their hands to see what was going to happen, and then the changes took place and we got off track a bit. But I think that now we do have a clear direction, and to make a long story short, it's probably an incremental process that they're looking at, but they now recognize the urgency that service needs to be increased and augmented sooner than later. And now that both city staff has been made aware of it, and Chief Beverlin's now made aware of it, and we should have a better plan going forward than we have to this point. And so the change in service should occur sooner than later.
Okay.
I know. Well, exactly, and that's why I don't want to get too in-depth as to what the content of the meeting was, but we would like to go ahead and see if we can agendize it for our next meeting.
Okay, let's see if Chief Beverly has anything he wants to add, and then we can talk about agendizing something. That way we get like a kind of stereo thing about it, and
Sure,
then
absolutely.
we know if we're going to agendize something, we kind of have an idea what we're going to agendize.
Stereo's always better than monaural, so.
Yeah, I agree. Chief, you got something to add?
I think that from what I understand, direction was given today, and I think that we're all rowing the boat in the same direction. And I think based on what I heard today, we should be able to have something based on the request of the agenda item for you for next meeting.
So since you would probably be the one who's going to be making the presentation, how would you like us to entitle this agenda item? Would it be an update? Would it be a review? Would it be a presentation?
How about we do presentation?
You want a presentation? Okay, update of service or?
Yeah, I would say just a fire department update.
Okay. Ken, you want to do that? You want to make the motion to agendize that?
Certainly. I'll go ahead and make the motion to agendize a fire department update for our next upcoming meeting.
Presentation.
Yeah, we'll call it the presentation. Yeah, fire department presentation for our next meeting.
Okay. Carmency, you got that? Can you throw it up there for us, please? Oh, we need a second. I'm sorry.
I'll second it.
Okay. Let's see. She's going to put it up there. We'll let Ken hit it, and then
Which report would you like me to put up?
we need to put up we're going to, Ken's made a motion to agendize an item for next month, and it would be a fire department update presentation.
Okay, let me get direction on Gerald, and can I get back to you in a second?
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. Absolutely. So, okay. So while we're waiting for that, anything else we want to add about that before you get the thing all handled?
No, that's perfect.
No? Okay. Do you guys want to go and do commissioner reports while she checks on that? Yeah? Yeah? Who wants to go first? Brian, you want to go first? Introduce yourself? You have to turn your mic on, Brian.
I'm Brian MEUSE, as some of you guys know me. I've been in the city since about 1990. Moved here with my wife and my 2 daughters, and been around ever since. I'm a local real estate broker, and I'm currently acting as Commander, President of the Citizens on Patrol. I also teach at several schools, drum marching corps, and I like the direction the city's going, and I've had plenty of opportunities to move, but I'm still here and want to see how we can better make this place better. And when the Safety Commissioner job came available, I've been asking Lee, I can tell you for years, I said, I want to be a part of that. I want to find out how I can make a difference besides working close with the police department. I've been there almost 13 years now, and I enjoy that. That's a highlight. But, I definitely want to, like I said, with the commission, definitely see how we can, like I said, Public Safety Commission, how we can just grow this and make this a better city. So that's really about it.
Okay, pretty cool. Welcome aboard. I think we're all very happy to have you on board. We're going to miss Cliff. I can tell you right now that if Cliff's listening to the meeting, he's probably really happy to see that first receivership thing went so well.
Yeah.
So he's probably in Ohio giving a big thumbs up right now. But welcome aboard, Brian. We're glad to have you. So, did you have a question?
Would you please repeat what you would like placed up on the screen?
Ken, you want to do that since it's your
Sure.
motion?
I would like to go ahead and make a motion that we agendize for next meeting a fire department update and presentation. It should probably say fire department presentation and update. Let me put it that way.
I'm sending it for votes now.
Okay, can we get a second, please? All right. All right, let's go ahead and vote, please. All right, all passed, so it's on the thing. So Chief, we'll look forward to hearing from you next month, so.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and thank you for working with the crew on that. I understand you, after everything was explained, I'm like, okay, that makes sense, but now's the time, let's do this. So it's our goal for the year. We're gonna be a month late, but it's gonna be okay. We're gonna get it done, and that's what's important. So, well, hopefully we're gonna get it done, and hopefully we get a good thing to go and put together, so. All right, very cool. All right, Lee, did you have anything for the good of the order?
I want to thank the chief for the work he's doing on this for us, by the way. And I want to thank Brian for taking the position. I asked him to throw his hat in the ring, and he did. And he got selected, and I'm glad he's here. We have a full staff here now. I think we can get some work done. and I'm glad you're aboard. And that's about it. We got a good report today, by the way, guys. I appreciate it. And I just wish you all a Merry Christmas. And that's about it. Thank you very much.
Okay, well said. Donna?
I wanted to say the same thing. Thank you, Brian, for joining us. And the reports were good, and I appreciate everything that everyone does. And I too wish you all a happy holiday and safe holiday. And I wish our reports next month were very low for the holidays. You know, I do have one thing. I know. I told Kenneth that I speak from the heart. I'm just not polished. So it just comes out when it comes out. Several people, friends, have come to me and wanted to know why, and I don't know if anyone can answer that, why all the, I don't know what you call them, the marijuana buildings, factories, whatever you call them, they're all dull looking. Why aren't they nice looking buildings? You know, let's shout out and say, hey, we're here too. I don't know. I laughed, and then I thought, well, maybe you have an answer.
Are you referring to the ones that are along Two Bunch?
Yes.
So I'm not going to pretend to be in the planning division or building division.
I was going to say, we
Yeah.
we kind of want to stay out of the planning commission's area there.
I can assume that it's because of the zone that they're in. So that's considered an industrial district, and the design standards are very different than when you put a building into a commercial district. That's why you won't see the same type of landscape or architect. Also, the design is comparable for what they're doing inside of them. So they need very large buildings. They're not really concerned with the aesthetic like they would be in a bank or a shopping center and things like that.
Okay, it makes sense. And that was my response, that it's the rules that they have followed. They're doing what they, are required to do. And, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
And then I'm done.
Ken?
Just a couple of things before I get into the jovial holiday greetings and congratulations and welcome aboard to Commissioner MEUSE there. It's nice that we have a basketball team here. I don't know if anybody around the city should shudder in their shoes about that. But, there's 5 of us up here, so there was a couple of things that I did want to mention. First, I had a question about, and there are other cities that have public safety commissions, ranging all the way from New York City through San Francisco, Los Angeles, what have you. And what happens in these cities is many times commissioners are notified if there's a significant incident within the city boundaries and the city borders, whether it be a law enforcement emergency, whether it be a large-scale medical emergency, hazmat release, structure fire, fire-related emergency, anything. Do we currently have a modicum for commissioners to be notified of such incidents within Desert Hot Springs? And if so, do we have a procedure for, if we elect to, response to any of these incidents? Because in some cases, the commissioners actually go out, and of course, they would be well removed from the hot zone, the crime scene, whatever. We would follow the directions of anybody that was on the scene. But if we wanted to observe and make sure that we knew that the citizens were receiving the service we want them to receive, that might be something we take a look at and put it in writing or make a method of how that would happen one way.
I agree.
That's probably something that we would need to agendize.
Yes.
And that way the chiefs can decide, do they want me poking around? No, you don't. No, I don't want to be poking around. But yeah, that's probably something we should have to agendize if we want to have it. If you're all interested in having a discussion about it, that's not a problem. We would have to agendize it, though.
Okay.
So if you want to make a motion to agendize that, Karmazi, sorry.
Okay, I make
wanna
a
do that?
motion to agendize recognition,
Credibility,
credibility,
identification,
identification,
response.
response. so that when something does, maybe we would appoint one of us to get a notice, like something's going on or whatever. But I think that it's important, people do come up to us and say, what happened there, and we know nothing. So I would, if you would all agree to discuss it, I would like to agendize that.
Off the record, I could just deputize you guys, all citizens on patrol, and you'll know what's going on all the time.
No.
Let's see if we can get a second to that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Which item would it be under? The system allows me to,
It would be a brand-new item for the new items section, Karmazay, and it would be a commissioner notification, significant incident notification for commissioners.
There you go.
Is that,
We do get, all week, every week, we get a breakdown of things that are happening. And I get it every week.
there's a young lady named Kelsey who sends that out every month,
Yeah.
and she does an
And
awesome
At
job.
least we get that, and that's pretty good. I want to thank you for doing that. Matter of fact, that is nice to have that breakdown because that's kind of new. So
Yeah.
that works pretty good. But that's a different thing we're talking about here. But I never have thanked you for that. We've just been getting those for a few months now, and it's nice. It kind of explains everything. So
Yeah,
that's
I'm-
pretty good.
I'm sure Brian
here.
can pass that along.
Yeah, so pass that
I
along.
miss
So
Kelsey.
she's
I
doing a
love
great job
her.
on that.
We talk.
We're blessed whoever we have. We've always been well taken care of. Well, I've seen her at the meetings all the time, but I never recognized her because the kids all grew up, so, yeah.
There was one other thing, if we have the time to discuss it really fast.
We
are
got
we
it?
ready to vote?
Are you ready? Oh, got it.
Okay, we need to get a second. And
Oh,
then
I
we have a
seconded it.
motion by Ken. Do we have a
No,
second?
Yeah, motion by Donna and seconded by.
A motion by Donna, I'm sorry, and a second by Ken.
You said it better. Were we invited to the city?
We're just going to record this manually. So
Okay.
who moved?
Commissioner Lozano,
Is there a second?
Vice Chair Mitchell.
And we'll do a roll call vote. So Commissioner Lozano,
Yes.
Commissioner Eastman,
Yes.
Commissioner MEUSE, Vice Chair Mitchell,
Yes.
and Chairman Meyer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Gerald, can I ask you a question? Is that the proper way to agendize stuff, or is it better just for me to call you like on tomorrow and say, hey, can you put that on the agenda?
Depends. This is probably the safer way.
Okay.
Right.
All right. I just want to make sure we're doing it the best way. Well, technically, from what I understand as the chair, I can put anything on there I want, or if two of you of the commissioners decide they want to put something on there, you can get together, one of you can call me, and I'll put it on there. So I'll get with city staff and put it on there. But, I'm just always interested in what's the preferred way that you feel as the city clerk, how you feel most comfortable with it, so. But yeah, if we can do it at the meeting, I think it's better to do it at the meeting, so. Okay, cool. All right, so we'll have that on the agenda for next month, and we'll talk about it and give you a few weeks to figure out if you want us there or not, so. Or how you're gonna tell us, so. All right, who did we leave off on Commissioner reports? Lee?
Ken had one more
Lee,
thing.
Ken, you had one more thing, I'm sorry.
Well, no, that's fine, that's fine. We had a misunderstanding at the last meeting with Chief Beverlin, and I was going to offer a suggestion in his defense. When we were soliciting the replacement for Commissioner Levy, which again, welcome to, Commissioner MEUSE. On the website, there was a description of what the Public Safety Commission actually stands for. And I believe I'm reading from the description from the website now, is I'm starting with the paragraph, providing citizens with public safety is one of the most important services the city can offer. The Desert Hot Springs Police Department is charged with ensuring the city is safe, drug-free, crime-free, and gang-free. The Public Safety Commission is an ongoing public forum that ensures the public is involved in the process. Commission members serve as liaison between the community leaders, citizens, and the Desert Hot Springs Police Department, review budgets and proposal for greater efficiency and effectiveness in the area of public safety. And the point that I was making with regards to what happened at the last meeting was that if I were completely new to the city of Desert Hot Springs, if I'd never seen anybody on the city council, the mayor, the government, anything like that, and I had limits to which meetings I could attend. If I had an interest in fire services, emergency medical services, disaster preparedness, I would look at this description and figure the Public Safety Commission was not the meeting for me. I wouldn't have to be here, you know? I would probably go directly to the city council, especially if I was limited in which meetings I could attend. I think in the future, to probably ameliorate any confusion that may come, that this description will probably be rewritten and probably be a little bit more inclusive and broad, not to diminish anything that the police department's doing, because, they're the Jerry Rice of this football team, but.
And they know where you live.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they need to come over, and I make great coffee. Police officers, they never drank my coffee, but just to make it more inclusive, to include the entire spectrum of public safety, I think would probably be a good thing if we were going to put it on the website.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to send that direction, that's something we'd have to agendize.
Oh.
So maybe after next meeting, maybe on
Yeah.
your thing next month, you can throw that in at the end and we'll agendize it then.
Yeah,
But-
Because I think we've already put 2 items on
Yeah.
there,
We
so.
want to keep her as our friend. We don't want to.
Yeah, I don't want Carmen to upset us.
Yeah.
But then wouldn't that always come down to the city attorney explaining it again?
It may, but, the question,
Well, it could be
it's
changed.
something we would have a discussion about, and
Yeah.
if it's a thing of wording and you want to be more inclusive, and just to get to what Donna was talking about, is a few years ago, we had a real crisis as to what the heck we were supposed to be. We had certain people telling us we were supposed to be doing this, and certain people telling us we're supposed to be doing this, and some of all 5 of us thought we should all be doing something totally different, and we literally had to have a joint meeting with city council and the city attorney and to get some straight up direction so everyone was on the same page. It was a little uncomfortable, but we figured it out, and we got on track. And not only did we get on track, but city staff, their budgets have been on track, and we haven't been in the newspaper since 2014 as having a budget issue.
That's a good sign.
Which is a beautiful
Yes,
thing.
it is.
So, that's not because of us. That's just because the city staff has really bore down and done the hard work. But why don't we agenda on end of the January meeting? We can agendize that discussion for February. And
Yeah, I concur with that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to see if we can make a change as long as we stay within the parameters. But that's something we need to discuss and have it an open discussion in a meeting. So,
Good.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. I interrupted you again. I apologize.
No apology required.
Okay.
You're the chair. You got that red thing over there. That means you can do what you want.
Yeah, I don't touch that thing. So anything else?
I'm done.
You're done? Okay, cool deal. I just wanted to say it's always really neat to see someone get sworn in, stand up and take an oath. That's just something very special. I've had to do it several times in my life, and it's a special thing to stand up and do that. It takes special people to be willing to put their integrity and their honor on the line like that, and so it just really made me feel good to see that get done again. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Brian, for joining us. I hope that, I know that we actually had a pretty good year. Just looking at the numbers, we had a good year for the city, and that's directly due to a lot of really hard work by a lot of dedicated professionals, our fire people, our code people, our animal control, our police officers, and people ask, do you feel safe in the city? And I say I do, unless I'm over at my friend's house, right? A little sketchy over there, but for the most, I feel totally safe living in Desert Hot Springs. I know that when I call the fire department, I get the top of the line people You don't see dogs running around, you know, and while we don't see those buildings torn down yet, we know what's happening, and we know we have people watching that and working on it. So I feel very positive about what's happened in the last year. So, and from what I'm hearing, we got some really good things coming up. I was at the Palm Springs High School grand opening for their new public safety center. I was able to attend, and just to see our high school with a facility like that, designed to promote the training of the new generation of law enforcement and fire professionals and EMS professionals is just, it's really, you know, my job at the college is to help do that for the college courses to get people certified. And to see this happening in the high schools as a feeder into our program at College of the Desert is just incredible. And that shows that we have good things happening here. So I'd just like to say thank you for a great year to all the people working so hard to do that here in the city. And I really do appreciate that. And last but not least, did you have something, Donna? Yeah, go ahead. Hit your mic.
Will we ever have a representative from there again?
You know, they don't have an Explorer program, so I doubt it.
Currently, we do not. It's not something that's off the table, but
Yeah.
with COVID that happened, that really took it away, and so right now we do not. But not off the table. It would be great to be able to get something going again, but time will tell for us on it.
Yeah, and I work with Mr. Huber, the teacher who's one of the
Yeah.
advisors there, so, you know, Eric and I talk about it once in a while, so, but hey, we've got this awesome, and not only do they do that, they have this great solar renewable energy program that operates in the other half of the building. So if you ever get a chance to go by there and look, go look. They did an incredible, you know, Mr. Huber came here and presented that to us for our support, and they knocked it out of the park, so it was great to see that. So other than that, all I have to say is Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Please all have a safe and happy holiday. All of our professionals, please be safe. And thank you so much. So we'll see all of you in 2022.
Can I second that?
Well, you've been seconding and starting
Oh, yeah.
everything else tonight.
We don't have
so-
to agendize holiday greetings, do we? Just making sure. Happy holidays and stay safe, folks.
Anything else for the good of the order?
Next meeting,
No?
January 13th.
Okay. January 13th. We'll see you all then. We stand adjourned. Thank you.